counted these or can I move?
You can move them. I've only counted the first bunch or two, so.
Have you counted this bunch?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to move those. I'll just put these over here and I'll just shift
Yeah.
those over there.
Okay.
Now, we'll pretend that this is 3, 4, 5, and 6 here. And
Okay.
we'll pretend that she's on a blue shaft loom.
It's okay.
2, 3, 4. Okay, so you try, like in this particular case, if I were just doing sort of a straight 1 through 4 threading, I wouldn't worry about counting the heddles necessarily unless I was really concerned about it. But there's my first one, there's my second one, there's my third one, there's my fourth one. Can you see how I can bend these? I can be absolutely sure that I have the right heddle at any given time. Okay? It's very easy to stick my fingers out. I can bend the first two, I then know. My hand feels it. I don't even have to look to see where I'm threading because my hand feels where it's going. So text-solve heddles in my world are very, very important. I know a lot of these looms don't belong to you. If you do have a loom that does belong to you and it doesn't have text-solve heddles, may I suggest that you ask for them for Christmas or birthday or Mother's Day or Father's Day or whatever day you'd like to ask for them. They really, really, they make such a difference on all looms. First of all, the loom becomes much, much quieter. It becomes much lighter to work with. You don't have that whole banging action that you normally do. And yes, the heddles come in all sizes. You can get them from, I think, Glamacra USA carries every single size of text-solve heddle that is made, so that is your best bet. And what you do if you don't know what size it is, just send her one. Say, I need this size heddle. Or say, I have a Dorothy loom. It measures, and you measure the wire heddle and send it to her, and she'll send them back. You can also get them here. You can get them from, I think Broussard has them. I know that Camilla Valley has some sizes. You may ask Ronnie if she'd like to carry text-solve heddles, you know, this kind of thing. So there's always possibilities. If you ask, you get the answers, right? So that's how I would do it. But you can see how flexible it is. I don't use any other system. I haven't used a threading hook for years.
How does it work with those though? Because it seems it would be harder to thread a soft
You get so used to it.
Okay.
It's, again, it's a little harder initially, but then here you don't have the bending of the heddles that you do with the wire ones, right? So it's a little harder, but you can actually use your finger to stick it in, right? And then just open that up. And it really is quite easy once you get going on it.
So these are special ones for this loom that they have a really small eye, so that when the shaft goes up and down, the maximum shed is achieved. If the eye is too big, there's too much play, too much room for that thread but they're fine.
But this has a different way of threading. Do you know how to treadle with threading?
No.
Okay, so this is a Confidobby, and I don't know what Carolyn has told you about it, you've told me.
Well, it's an a Confidobby, that's the computer-assisted loom. With bringing forward the beater, the shafts change. And I got this loom because I wanted a 16-shaft loom, but I really didn't like the idea of adjusting 16
Toggles or something.
yeah, with every pick, you know. It even bothers me on an 8-shaft table loom. I guess I'm very impatient. But when I heard about this loom, I thought, wow, I've got to try it out. And you've got to get used to it, like any other piece of equipment. But I'll have it up and running, and I'll be happy to show you how to use it. But there's only about an inch-and-a-half area that you can weave in, and then you must advance because the beater won't lift the right shafts if you aren't in the sweet spot.
Well, hallelujah, because you should be in the sweet spot anyways. You should never weave more than an inch-and-a-half anywhere, on any loom whatsoever. Thank goodness. You have little pieces of tape on the side of your loom that says, this is where the beater goes, this is where I start, and this is where the beater goes to. When the beater gets to here, I have to advance this much, no more, on any size loom. Otherwise, guess what? Oh, my beat is so crappy.
So this
I can
one,
really see, you get this loose density, thick density.
so the beater adjusts.
Yes.
So it gives you a bigger sweet spot.
Yeah.
Ah,
Those looms are really nice with sweet spots.
Okay.
On this loom, what you can actually do is, on your computer, if you treadle, make a lift plan of your threading.
Which I always do.
Yes.
You have to for this.
Yes, but of your threading.
Oh, of the threading.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So if you have to thread 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, make a lift plan 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
I see.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Click, one comes up, thread, click, two comes up, thread, click, three comes up, thread, no mistakes. It's called threading, treadling, you're threading, and it's the way a lot of people thread their AVL looms now. So you might try that, because that way you don't have to worry about, now is this shaft 1 or 2 or 3?
Believe me.
Because
It's
you're
pretty darn
Yeah.
close.
Yeah.
I was thinking of going a little Sharpie, 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, in a
But
few
even
places.
when you're in here, it's very hard to determine it.
Is it 6?
So if you treadle your threading, just write your threading right into your lift plan, and then click, up comes first shaft, thread it, up comes the second thread, up comes the third thread it.
Okay.
And try that, because it'll be much, much faster.
Could you do that on a 4 harness loom, or is it
Um,
not really?
It's not really useful on a 4 harness loom or a 4 shaft loom,
You can see.
because you can see very well. But if you get into something like 12 shafts or 16 shafts, you might want to do it, but because it's a regular loom, unless it's a lift loom, like a lever loom, there's not really much point, because you have to tie up the whole tie up underneath instead to get started, right?
Right.
So in that way, it's much easier to use this method that I just showed you. Yep. Any other questions? Once we are set up and you're ready, we're going to do the